Be on your blue side, PSG, Talon on the red. And we get to see Tank's Twisted Fate. He made his debut for the team back at the beginning of summer on the champion, and ever since has been an absolute threat when it comes to the pick. Not going to have that, and G4 and Ryan actually not going to get their hands onto that set.
Yeah, so this was pretty much par for the course the last time these two met in week 6, and that was just pocket picks across the board getting banned out. Literally, blow for blow, the same exact bans, of course. Rocky's Callista, undefeated, insane stats put up there. Actually, one difference here with the ban out of the Ashe. That was Aphelios the last time, so maybe we do see Unified get his hands on that signature pick of his.
And I'm interested when it comes here into playoffs, because we are playing on patch 10.16, which luckily the Caitlyn is banned out by PSG Talon. I was getting a little bit afraid they would let that go through, but we're starting to see a little bit of the resurgence here of the Lucian as a niche pickup that can be flexed around the map.
Yeah, Lucian definitely a flex pick, as you mentioned, but at the same time, I think it's pretty significant that we see it go to a solo laner. Rocky loves his aggressive top laners. You're seeing the Callista banned out against him, but G4 needs some of these free laning champs to really, kind of make up for the difference between him and Tank. Because last time these two teams did meet, the game exploded off of a mid lane solo kill as early as level 6 from Orianna of all champs on Tank.
Yeah, his Orianna has been a bit disgusting, and it is still open, and maybe pair that up alongside the Renekton for Hanabi, who can look for that dive in. Might be the answer, and we also get to see River on one of his pocket picks that he loves to play out. It's his Nidalee.
I think you just take the Graves here for Ryan, honestly. It was banned out against him last time these two met, and it is a good matchup into the Nidalee. So is that, though it is a little bit more difficult to execute. With the early lane pressure of Lucian, you do have a lot of room to breathe.
Yeah, me and you were actually talking during the break here, and I felt like Lilia might actually be a champion for Ryan when you pair it up something along the size of maybe a Pantheon as well, looking for just those consistent high-focus dives post-level 6. We might see some heavy action coming out here from Nova Esports, which has been similar to Machi, PSG, one of their weak points.
Yeah, we were talking about this champ during the break, but I will admit that it was mostly me saying, what do I do if they pick this? Because I have not seen this played as often as I would be comfortable with. However, I'm pretty happy to see it, of course, and with early winning lanes, like the Lucian, like the Pantheon, if you keep it mid lane and let Lucian match up against the Renekton, can definitely invade the Nidalee and get on the board pretty heavily.
Yeah, because unfortunately, the last time we got to saw it, it was earlier today, and World 6, we just weren't seeing the aggression that we expect out of this pick and why it's been seeing success in regions like the LPL. Ryan, we always mention, is kind of one of these members of Nova that he needs to have a strong game and has shown times where he is able to be an absolute menace in the early game against tough opponents and help transition that into victories. Do see, though, 80 carry pool being targeted on both sides. No Aphelios for Unified and no Ezreal for Cold and Feet.
Yeah, it definitely does suggest that this will be a Lucian top lane for Rocky, which makes it a little bit scary for me because Rocky, yes, he's a big carry player, but we took a look at his stats throughout the split, and when he's lost a single game on a new champ, he just abandons them. Every champ he's played once is 0% win rate and just left in the gutter.
So a champion ocean, sometimes we say, but it's not a very deep ocean, you could say at the very least here. So maybe he tries to bring something out for a second time and help fix some of that win rate. Do see, though, final bans coming on through. Won't see a Senna, so we're really digging down into the 80 carry pool here, and we might actually see Golden Feet go onto that Lucian and not see it flexed into the top side of the map.
Yeah, the issue being that Lucian, of course, does need to hard win lane, and there are a lot of supports that can just kind of shut that down completely. I do want to see if we will see the Pantheon go bot lane with the Lucian for a crazy kill lane, or if we keep the Pantheon mid, even if Azir is a little bit of a tricky matchup to navigate in the earlier stages. Varus, of course, was pick ban back in the day, but now, yeah, a little bit underwhelming, especially when you do build him for the lethality build still.
Yeah, and you're going to go up against a Jhin, which come late game, that 4th shot or any crit, once he's able to land it, able to just chunk out squishy members, especially something like that Varus, like that Azir, and even that Nidalee, depending on the build that we see come out from River, who's been known to be hyper-aggressive. And I love this takeaway, too, away from Tank, considering he's already shown the Azir. Pair that Pantheon with an Orianna, and you have a really good ball delivery system.
As well as that, you now take the Pantheon out of that pretty unfavorable Azir matchup, where he would just be harassed down from a distance. You get to match the scaling of the Azir with the Orianna, and you get G4 onto a comfort pick. This is a champion that he has shunned on, for better or for worse, when he's just crazily splitting in a side lane as Orianna at 25 minutes for whatever reason. And yeah, genuinely pretty happy to see it come through for the mid laner of Nova.
But I'm interested because I know we want to have a high focus on what these teams should be trying to do early on during this game. So for Nova, we mentioned hyper aggression. Is there anything else you want to see out of this competition?
Definitely do need to see the bot lane pop off. These are two very, very early game snowball-centric champs, and that's where I think PSG have played it safe by taking the Tahm Kench. He's not got quite the same amount of insane disengage and utility as the Thresh, very much a one-trick pony with the Devour, but at the same time, it's a very safe lane, and it should let the PSG bot lane just kind of get through those early stages where we did have a couple of question marks about these two MVP-worthy players.
I also want to see, you know, if Rocky's going to be able to actually abuse this top lane matchup to the full effect that we kind of expected to. Again, it's a Renekton to a range matchup, and depending on your Renekton player, it can be either or. You are going up against Hanabi, one of the best top laners in the region at the moment, arguably top 3. So for Rocky, he has himself a rather difficult game 1 to execute upon. And if he wants to be known as that, you know, doesn't play weak side, needs to play in a strong lane and dominate his matchup, he needs to show it here up against Hanabi. If Nova want to have the opportunity to avoid getting knocked down to the lower bracket, much the same they did back in spring by this squad, as we go ahead and load on in for game 1.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And it looks like our dolly camera is working this time. Didn't work in Game 3 of our last series. But again, for PSG, this is a team that was able to adapt over the course of the spring playoffs, was able to take every best of series the entire distance when it came to their matchup outside of their one series up against Nova in the first round. So I think if this team wants to prove itself to be strong and not be seen as how even Kaiwing said during the documentary that was released about a week ago, they don't want to be seen as this weak team anymore. They want to be seen as the team that can close out series in 2-0s or 3-0s.
Conversely, if Nova want to be recognized as, you know, more than just one of the non-Taipei-based teams, like, sure, they're the best of a handful from the outlying C region teams. Well, this is kind of rough.
Unfortunately there for Ryan, a little bit of aggression coming out, and especially from our Nidalees today. Not afraid, but here comes a collapse over on the side of Nova as you do have this bot lane looking to apply some pressure. Pop going down low, able to flash himself to safety, and that's first blood going on to Golden Feed, as well as River being slowed down on his first clear, and Ryan still had really good health.
Yeah, and the thing about this Lilia is that she needs kills early. She needs to snowball to deal the amount of damage that she wants to. Yes, she has some utility, but she needs gold to access that, and that is really, really important to get her on the board this early. You'll notice the Pop just went in, auto-attacked a little bit, held his stun till they knew that they could burst down Nidalee in the duration of it, and then just drops the jungler of PSG with a very aggressive W from the Pantheon.
And that too, you had that perfect 4 count coming out of Golden Feet, so that Jhin now able to get that first blood gold into his back pocket, and maybe we get to see this snowball from the bot lane where we even mentioned during our preview show at the start of the day, we kind of felt like this bot lane, out of all of our elite 80 carry pairings, they're kind of actually, we feel like they have the highest potential to carry, but also are the most exploitable, especially early on.
Yeah, they have been fumbling in lane phase in particular, and I'm looking at the Nova bot lane here, and I do have to praise them, not only because they moved, not only because they rotated, but they didn't just sit in the tier 1 rush in bot lane, waiting to try and cheese like some of these more early game focused lanes tend to do. They read the map well, they responded accordingly, and now it's up to Ryan to reward his bot lane by snowballing on this Lilia.
So we do see at least River trying to recuperate some of his losses, able to at least get back onto his buffs. Doesn't get 3-buffed, luckily. Ryan isn't that aggressive. And you did mention, too, we want to see Ryan get on the board early, especially when you're rocking something like a Dark Harvest there for that extra little bit of burst of damage when it comes to the later part of the game, instead of what we saw with the Phase Rush earlier on today from World 6.
Yeah, the Phase Rush and the Conqueror are nice for the Lilia, of course, but they are nerfed to range champs, so it is a little bit rough to execute on those. I like to see the Dark Harvest. It means she has some modicum of scaling. It means that Jhin Pantheon, if they fall off, Lucian, if he falls off, Orianna Lilia can maybe carry a post 25-minute fight. But this early game still pretty treacherous to navigate for the Nova bot lane.
We do see River, instead of backing, it seems here, maybe deciding, seeing whether or not Golden Feet or Pop are going to push themselves. As Kaiwing and Unified slowly trying to bait it. It looks like River decides, all right, we're not going to find a play here, and decides to back off. Taking a look elsewhere, though, on the map, we take a look toward this top lane where Rocky already starting to give himself a little bit of a CS advantage early on into this range versus melee match.
Yeah, definitely what you need to see from the Lucian Renekton matchup, and as well as that, just the fact that he's been left in an isolated 1v1. They killed Nidalee for First Blood, so kind of shut down the tempo and the potential gank from River. It does give Rocky that isolated matchup and lets the Lucian actually get on the board. PSG kind of giving away that top lane through that early game fumble.
It's a little bit unfortunate, but you do see now Ryan's just going to go ahead and start getting a bit of pressure into the jungle of River, and with Lilia, she is very effective of trying to clear out camp, so you do see River flashing on forward, in comes the bite, in is that pounce, and there you go, First Blood. Well, an answer back at the very least, the first kill for PSG.
Yeah, Flash Renekton empowered W. Not really too much counterplay to that. The pretty long duration stun, hefty chunk of damage. Renekton Nidalee, not quite the Renekton Elise of old, but still pretty good at lining up some guaranteed damage through the max distance spear.
Yeah,
looking at PSG now, though, they've got an assist into the pocket of Hanabi. He has his Tabi, and he should now be able to handle this 1v1 pretty handily.
I even saw River was actually flashing in range to ensure that that Nidalee spear would actually hit, and poor Ryan, well, he's just sad that he's like, I just wanted to go for an invade here, Rocky. But this has been a reoccurring trend, to say the very least, when it comes to Nova. Rocky, not afraid to consistently push in, especially when there isn't a whole lot of vision in that River.
I mean, it is Lucian, so you do kind of have to push in, otherwise you're giving away the game by not applying pressure early. We now have level 6 for the Orianna, though. This is a scaling champ. This is the late game insurance policy, but still something that can influence these mid-game fights if Nova do want to opt into them. Look for Tank and G4 to now start to actually contribute to these skirmishes, especially now that Drake's on the board. Rift Herald's going to come up in less than 2 minutes, and we will probably start to see both of these teams making a move for either of those objectives.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a mirror here when it comes to our solo lanes where we wanted to take a lot of focus to. You know, Rocky and Hanabi, they're going to be trading back and forth. But then you take a look over to Orianna and Azir. That is the definition of we're both going to farm away, and then we'll see each other at team fights.
Yeah, honestly, that is the case here. Par for the course at this point. PSG, they have isolated the mid lane matchup, just having Nidalee play for side lanes. You have the Renekton off an island. He has Tabi, so he's okay there. And now you actually see some action mid.
Oh, see. Able to get some damage, but G4 gets himself back to safety with that flash. River making his first appearance. Ryan a little bit late. Can't really do a whole lot. Just wants to try and allow G4 to get a quick back off with this push.
Definitely would have liked to have seen the Graves and that triple marksman comp rather than this Lilia, who hasn't really done too much of anything so far. The spear actually hit the cannon creep, by the way, which is why G4 didn't die. So kind of mechanical misplay coming through from PSG, but they were a little bit forced because they didn't want to give G4 the opportunity to flash before River had committed.
So unfortunately, nothing really gained there on either side, but without a flash available for G4 and a very aggressive play, but oh, Ryan, he's going to want that seed back as the minion with barely any health is able to soak up the damage. Hanabi, meanwhile, on the top side, not afraid to go for an all-in here on Rocky, but once you've lost your cooldowns, culling will come out from Rocky and he's able to trade back the damage.
Yeah, Rocky's still a little bit suspect when it comes to mana, but once he gets his blade, expect him to kite out the Renekton a little bit more reliably, get on top of Hanabi where he needs to, and River starting this up in full vision of Nova does suggest that we could see a little bit of a contest here. Ryan is in the area.
You see, Ryan wants to try and set this up. Ward is down, so it should be an easy lineup for the seed. Pop isn't level 6 just yet, so hard for him to make a roam, and that's actually an engage coming on down immediately. Kailing able to eat up Unified, and now they get the damage back over to Pop, who has to at least try and soak up a little bit more damage. Not going to be the case, though, as it looks like Golden Feet and Pop both just ticking down their health bars. And there you go, Unified able to find himself his first kill in lane.
Yeah, a little bit rough when you're getting 2v2 killed by a Tahm Kench any day of the week, but genuinely the champion is pretty oppressive to play melees into, and you're just seeing the 2v2 kind of potential of this PSG bot lane. Yes, they're inconsistent, but they can still take it to you if you do fumble.
It's not the greatest of looks there coming out from the bot lane of Golden Feet and Pop, as they wanted to get hyper aggressive, but like you mentioned, Kench able to deny a lot of that combo damage that comes out from Pop, and without cooldowns, a Pantheon feels pretty off.
Yeah, of course no vision in the bush either, because that pink ward does mean Pop can't jump until the damage has already come through from Unified. And yeah, just really rough kind of sequencing coming here through from the Nova bot lane.
Would like to maybe see Golden Feet decide, all right, maybe just let your support go down at that point. No real way of saving him, but now that's all the summoners burned in the bot side of the map. Still Flash available for Kailing as well as Unified if they want to try and make a play. And it looks a bit calm here as we get to see possibly our first Dragon take from PSG.
Yeah, we mentioned that the lethality Varus had been nerfed. Granted, it's still a pretty nice siege comp with the Nidalee, but this is actually going to be on hit anyway. So Unified, yes, he has range constraints. Yes, he's going to struggle if the Orianna gets big enough to one-shot him with a shockwave if he moves in range to auto, but otherwise should have pretty smooth sailing when it comes to taking down some of these more suspect targets on the Nova lineup.
You wouldn't like to see maybe a lethality build in this situation, considering you have so many squishy members from Nova?
I think lethality is very, very literally hit or miss at this point.
Okay.
But genuinely, yeah, it's nerfed, and you do have that additional safety of the Tahm Kench, and this double DPS threat of Azir plus Varus later on, either of them can solo win a fight if they go untouched.
There you go. Looking for a dive here in this mid lane, possibly, is River, as well as the Kench going to show up. G4 needs to get himself back to safety. 2 members. In comes that just nasty shockwave, but River takes down G4. Ryan joins in, though, able to get the sleep and able to trade back a kill alongside Pop. Nova able to find 2 members for 1, and Seedling is going to connect. Rocky comes down for the roam, flashing on forward, able to find 1, and Nova strike back with 4 kills of their own.
Yeah, Nova get a tremendous answer there. Hanabi glued to the top lane, Nova get the collapse, and it's a really stunning series of events in favor of this blue side team. You saw a good response shockwave, you saw a good collapse from everybody else, and you saw Nova just happily clean this up between their 2 turrets.
And this kind of becomes the issue, is if Ryan's able to get nearby to try and turn this around, that Drowsy onto 3 members is absolutely huge and allows time for Nova to answer back.
Yeah, I take back all my flaming towards this Lilia pick now, just because it's paid off right there. That is enough to get Rocky back on the board. He got kills worth of gold in his pocket. Could have got 2, but they were like, nah, no kill for you. But it gets Pantheon on the table as well, and genuinely now Nova look to be in a very solid position. You've accelerated Rocky back into relevance. Ryan finally now on the board. The only thing is that both G4 and Golden Feet were kind of sitting out of that one, whether by choice or by the fact that G4 died to instigate it, and it does mean that you now have 3 fairly relevant threats accompanied by 2 kind of champions that are just, you know, there.
They're just there, watching everything take place until later on. Do you see, though, River maybe looking for a play toward the top side of the map. Meanwhile, bot lane turn call is going to be popped, as well as the slow coming down from Pop. In comes the shockwave. That is a very tanky Kench, though. And a lot being burned here. Looks like they will not be able to finish it off. Meanwhile, mid, you actually have the Rift Herald being secured by River a little bit earlier on, and that's going to unlock tank from this mid lane.
Yeah, I definitely do have to look at that as being kind of the idea behind PSG's crazy mid lane dive just a minute and a half ago. It was, let's kill G4, at least get him out of the lane, and then herald for plates and pressure. This time around, they just wait for him to leave the lane, and then convert heavily with an aggressive push there. As you said, unlocking tank, but also making it so that you now have a pretty difficult path to the neutral objectives from the side of Nova.
Lots of pings actually coming up toward this top side of the map. You see Rocky just wants to try and get a little bit aggressive onto Hanabi, maybe try and trade back a kill, but in comes that Dominus being popped, looking for a stun. There's also, you got yourself Tank, you got River, and poor Rocky. He's waiting for this Lilia to try and answer back. Some decent damage, though, coming back onto Ryan. He's able to trade back 1 kill, make it 2 with the roam up on the Lilia.
The tower killed River? Okay, nice. Pretty handily done by Ryan there. 2 screens away, the seed comes bouncing, and it does secure a couple of kills in favor of Nova. They answer back, they are playing reactionary, and they are coming out ahead from all of this.
And there you go, this Lilia, which a bit different from what we saw earlier on tonight from World 6. This is looking a lot more to the style that we see from the LPL Lilias, a lot more aggressive and being able to try and respond to these heavy dives that are coming out from PSG Talon.
Yeah, I want to see how River dies here. He gets tower aggro, okay, and then he just falls asleep under the tower. Classic.
It's a feels bad, and that's why that Lilia now has that 3-0-4 record, part of every kill so far for Nova. And right when it feels like PSG are about to answer back, every time Ryan on this damn stupid deer is coming nearby into your jungle and looking to cause havoc.
Oh man, you've got the sleeps, you got the damage from 2 screens away. This is Jungle Zoe, if I ever did see it, and it is snowballing right now. Building towards what looks to be either Leandri's or a Morellonomicon. I guess you go Leandri's here. Morello could be nice for Nidalee healing, but she's going Lichbane first because she thought she was snowballing. And suddenly Ryan is the biggest threat on this Nova lineup.
Yeah, and it kind of feels bad now for River, where he's decided to opt into, like you mentioned, the Lich Bane. So he himself is going to be rather squishy, not going into the Roa build we've sometimes seen out of the jungle Nidalee when she falls behind. They have been able, though, to secure a lot of dragon control, and that has netted them now their second Drake of the game, as Nova have yet to be able to secure anything.
Yeah, that's not only the dragon area control, but also kind of a consequence of the fact that Nova did lose that tier 1 mid pretty early into the game. Gonna see a big Herald commitment and push top lane. Actually, 4 people top, plus the Herald on the side of Nova. PSG trying to trade back, but they do not have Shelly. They do not have a counter push, and they should find themselves in a little bit of trouble if this continues.
Yeah, you got yourself a Lucian. You also have a Jhin. They can knock down these towers rather fast, and you now see Kaiwing saying, hey guys, we might actually have to back off, but this could easily be an inhibitor tower from Nova at 15, 16 minutes, and they're not stopping. They want to take the inhib.
Typically, you don't see teams take inhibs this early on because it shuts you out from farming a single lane for like 3 minutes now, because you can't end off of an inhib this early, but Nova are like, nope. To hell with that, we're going to take it, we're going to apply the pressure, and we are going to run with it. They get 3 resets across the board, should see big items start to materialize in everybody's inventories, and suddenly Nova in a fantastic position as we rapidly approach this mid-game.
And it's a breath of fresh air, because when we see Nova draft these kind of compositions that allow Rocky to, in theory, get ahead in lane, have a stronger top side, along with an aggressive jungle with Ryan, we rarely get to see Nova actually snowball that into a lead. But now, they have been able to only take down the inhibitor. The one kind of, little asterisk here is you take a look at all the objectives, all the kills in favor of Nova, they're only ahead by 200 gold.
Yeah, a little bit rough there just because, it's objectives going by way of PSG, it's plates, it's better farming across the board, honestly. And yeah, just really, really does kind of sing praises of PSG and their ability to actually just outclass people player for player. But macro-wise, they are on the back foot now, and Nova continuing to push that.
And we haven't even seen the full combo come out of Nova just yet, with this Pantheon alongside a Orianna that's going to be launching down a Shockwave. We haven't seen that full commit just yet. When they are starting to hit multiple power spikes, you have Luden's completed now for G4. You've had Bork online for Rocky for a little bit. You also have that Stormrazor here for Golden Feet. It feels like they're in a really good position, can easily take full control of this game away from PSG.
Yeah, and this Rylai's from Ryan means the Lilia now has a long-range engage, a nice slow lined up if she wants to commit for that. It's not quite the insane damage of the Leandri's or the utility of the Morello, but it's still enough to mean that Ryan is now a very, very formidable threat. I am really impressed with his Lilia so far because his Graves was pick ban, and yet now he has another champ that is popping off and probably needing some attention in future games.
And that's going to be actually the Kench already eating up the Varus. His current call going to be used here by Golden Feet, just looking to try and snipe down one of the squishy members of PSG. And that's the thing, if Kaiwing isn't there, one of those members is likely dead or blowing summoners.
That was a big commit of the Shockwave from the side of Nova, but they're not able to really convert into a kill off of it. However, they can get some mid lane pressure up. The issue is they need to hard commit for this mid lane tier 1, because as we said, can't farm top. Bot lane's kind of air, sure, you can crash that wave. There's no dragon to take for another 90 seconds. The only real thing Nova can do with this pressure is continue to commit for towers.
Do take a note, though, that when we come to team fights, Tank now has been able to finish off his Nashor's Tooth, so this is Azir starting to come online with his DPS when given the opportunity. And we do actually have a Mountain Rift available for him. So there's a lot of choke points that this Azir can actually pop off. Very similar, though, to G4. So I think both of these mid laners have the opportunity to turn a fight either way.
Yeah, late game, largely due to that mid lane that you mentioned for PSG, gonna be in their favor. Also helps that on-hit Varus can just 1v9 if left untouched. The issue is that Nova aren't letting go of the accelerator. They are continuing to push their lead through this mid game and should be on track to close by the 25-minute mark if PSG continue to hemorrhage resources.
There you go. Rocky even throwing out the culling pop, maybe looking for a stun, but once again, this mid lane tower being the prime focus. One more auto attack from the Jhin will be enough to take it down, but again, Nova playing it safe, not overcommitting just yet, knowing, hey, we still have the advantage, let's not overcommit and throw away leads that we have had up against PSG before. This is actually very similar to what we saw in Game 1 of Spring Playoffs, where they actually looked rather okay up against PSG.
And because of that, they have grown their gold lead from 200 to 400. That is stocks. Long-term investment.
All right, there you go. Third dragon of the game, though. Going to be secured by Nova, so they're also able to help stall out PSG when they were looking to stack up that dragon, taking away resources that they left untouched. And if I'm PSG right now, the next 5-10 minutes is rather scary, like you mentioned.
Definitely does look to be the point in the game where Jhin, Pantheon, Lucian are all most relevant. Still very hard to kind of gauge how strong the Lilia will be here. She's super fed right now, still only sat on that one non-jungle item in the Rylai. Should have like a fairly hefty near 2k gold in inventory though. So honestly, looking at Ryan is really dictating the pace of these subsequent fights.
Well, we should be seeing it now from Rocky. He's been sitting on that phage for the last about 5 minutes, and on this back, there you go. Black Cleaver picked up for the Lucian. You get yourself some extra cooldown reduction as well as that armor shred alongside your press the attack, and Hanabi's still going to have a bit of a bad day for himself.
Yeah, Spellbinder going to come through for the Orianna as well. G4 can then look to solo win team fights by himself. And we're really looking at Nova now as having pick up the litter when it comes to playmaking. Didn't really do much with that taken top lane inhib, but it was free gold, it was free pressure. Cool, they'll take that. Now the issue is, can they claim that inhib for a second time?
See some ping though coming out, and unfortunately we have kind of gone back to a bit of that ARAM in the mid lane for the last 5 minutes, which honestly for PSG isn't all that bad. It means Nova isn't necessarily taking full control of the map and not pushing this advantage any harder. It does give them a little bit of breathing room when you take a look at the options available for Nova to go for a play.
Have we seen the Pantheon ultimate yet? And
not
by the way,
seen it.
G4, madman that he is, has just been sat on like no mana for the past 5 minutes trying to find farm wherever. He cleared topside jungle, he cleared top wave, he bounced back top wave after taking a ward down in a tribush. And yeah, this Orianna sat on a hefty chunk of gold, looking for that Spellbinder as we mentioned, and then look to expect to see this Nova mid laner finally decide to join the fights.
Yeah, like you said, he's got to be sitting around like 2,500 gold right now. Like G4, he's saving in, like you mentioned, stocks available for himself. He's going to get in there, get a nice big power spike. They have been also able to set up a decent ward line, and PSG a little bit late to these rotations allows Nova to chip away at these second-tier towers once more, and It kind of becomes, you know, when is PSG going to be the ones to decide something? Ryan actually wants to go for the engage, gets the sleep onto the Kench. They are able, though, to find the safety for that Varus with the Devour, but still going aggressive. Hanabi on that front line, trying to do what he can, is going to be able to get himself back to safety. G4 still sitting on no mana himself. Maybe want to see him go back to the base before they want to pull that trigger.
Yeah, definitely do need to see this Orianna finally recall, please.
Like, jeez.
Just been sat mid, sat top side jungle, no mana, 2k golden inventory, just spend the gold and then pressure your lead. Maybe they're trying to sync their recall timings with this next Drake up in 2 minutes. Cool, fine, whatever. But Nova, these plays looking a little bit dead in the water at times.
But here you go. You got Cold Feet. He's now picked up his Infinity Edge. You now have a Blasting Wand coming out of Chief. What? Where did his money go?
Maybe he's saving for the entire Morellonomicon or for the entire Rabidon? I don't even know. Honestly, that is kind of gross, not gonna lie, but hey, whatever. And in all of that time, we saw Tank combine his National's Tooth, we saw him buy an entire Banshee's Veil, and that is the kind of mid lane cash out we were expecting to see from G4.
Do note, though, for Tank, he ended up using his teleport on that last fight on the turret that was being literally shot down by Golden Feet. So not going to have that TP available for a possible flank. You also mentioned Unified. Now looking toward his second, third item now being completed. Rage Blade online for the Varus. And PSG are actually able to start moving this line back toward Nova. It feels like we've just hit the stall out of this game where Nova have the tools. They have the go button available, but we have seen this time and time again from them where they just don't decide to do anything.
Yeah, exceptionally squishy composition from the side of Nova does mean they have to be a little bit precautious about how they enter these fights.
Pop, a little bit aggressive. Hey, he at least finally used that ultimate. PSG were looking for a rotation, but a little bit late to the party with that ward being put down by Nova. Keeps them safe, but forcing that on the top side of the map, that opens up Drake Pit, and PSG can actually get their third stack of the game.
Yeah, we said this game was very reactionary from either team, and this time around, it's the battle of which support blows their global ultimate first. This time around, it was the Pantheon engage rather than the Abyssal Voyage, and that does mean Nova are on the back foot, but they're still going to look to contest this. Tank, it's all on you to deal the damage and stop them.
All right, Tank was able to take home the position away from Candy after he left, go back home to Korea. Now has to make his play. That's going to be Nova able to secure their second Drake of the game. Ryan forced a flash away. Current Call going to get put on down. Tank maybe looking for a play. Current Call going to be canceled by Golden Feet. And Nova are actually able to take down the Drake. But you see a lot of pings on almost an instant march over toward that Baron pit.
Yeah, super high DPS in team fights was what we said from the PSG carries, and yet it's also a super clean Baron take. Azir on hit Varus, so much damage in such a short period of time. This Baron is butter.
And there you go. Ryan trying to make his way on over, a little bit late to the party. Seed goes through, but that is way too late, and Nova, we have seen this situation before. Two-man Shockwave, though, gonna go ahead and land onto the bot lane of PSG. Kaiwin gonna get taken on down low, finally gets obliterated by Rocky. Meanwhile, Hanabi, though, steps up toward the deer and slices and dices some Vincent, and there you go. It's gonna be 1 kill in favor of PSG, or 2 on PSG. And there you go, Baron buff in hand.
Yeah,
It's fine, don't worry.
I love Pantheon stun. Anyway. Yeah, that just threw me for a loop. Anyway, regardless of the fact that Baron did go into the pockets of PSG, it's Nova with the numbers advantage. It's Nova with the comp that does spike around this moment in time. And it's now Nova that are looking to shove in this top lane. The inhib still stands though, so PSG more than happy to walk away with that one.
And again, it's another situation where it feels like on the side of Nova, they had these tools to go. They've had the tools to go for the last 10 minutes. And PSG have been able to wait it out, play ARAM mid, and now are able to rotate to objectives, go into side lanes, and look for catches, especially members like Rocky, who's known to be rather aggressive without vision coverage.
Yeah, a little bit rough execution of that fight from the side of Nova. Yeah, the Shockwave was beautiful. Everyone else was a little bit far away. We kind of identified that Lucian, Jhin, Pantheon, while also sharing that trait of being mid-game champions through and through, are also very short range. They can't contribute to fights till they're really up and in there. And yeah, we just saw Nova kind of crumble in that outright skirmish. They didn't respect the Baron damage, they didn't respect PSG's crazy rotational gameplay, and now they find themselves actually in a pretty bad state.
And if you thought Tank was able to burst down key objectives like that Baron very fast and do a lot of damage, next back, he's going to have a Rabadons. And this Azir is fully online, ready to go for these team fights. And you mentioned 25 minutes is when we expected Nova to end at the pace that they were playing. It just never happened. And now it comes back to this indecision making, this questionable call, again coming out from Nova, where it doesn't seem like this team has a shot caller.
So I actually think the Void Staff was a good idea from G4 here, just because you have so much magic resist between the Banshee, the Adaptive Helm, the Merc Treads plus the Hex Drinker. It's all good stuff. Basically wave clear duty from here on out. Whether this Baron Storm and then look to make another proactive play from Nova there, but the clock is ticking and their comp's relevancy is slowly slipping out of the window.
And I just don't know what to say. It feels like every time we get to praise this team when it comes to their playstyle. The fact they're able to do this up against PSG was rather shocking. They looked very clean. Pop going to go ahead, try and make the call play. Unfortunately, Emperor's Divide prevents him from actually entering onto that backline. He also had Kern Call being used by Cold Feet, just looking for any sign of an engage. And once again, it's just ults being thrown to the wind, but not being coordinated.
Yeah, it definitely does kind of put a bit of a damper on both of these teams when they are so committed to making the big play and then kind of fumbling it time and time again. Something I do like, by the way, about the carries, I feel like we keep talking about the PSG carries, but they are fantastic at doing DPS later on. And something I like about Azir and Varus in particular is that they have engage and disengage options. They can either force a fight or they can create space. And creating space between yourself and these short-range carries from Nova is really the name of the game when it comes to teamfight and subsequent game victory from the side of PSG.
And you know what's also kind of like questionable for me is we were wondering, what was G4 actually going to build after looking at his build path for the last, 10 minutes. And he opted, instead of just finishing off that Rabadons, decided, all right, I want to go for a Void Staff. I want that just upfront burst damage, but it was just never used. And now it's kind of the question now where Nova, you built for these power spikes, but you have not been able to utilize them. And PSG kind of are starting to take control of this map once more.
Ooh, Unified a little bit too close for comfort when it comes to actually being in range of a Pantheon W there, but still, the threat of Clevin being nearby does... Oh!
3-man Shockwave coming out from G4. Unfortunately, there's just no follow-up damage, and that is one of your key ultimates that you want to have for this Dragon fight. That is a very good Lilia ultimate, though, coming on through, but there is no coordination. There is no call to say, we want to try and go for this. Instead, they backtrack and look for their third dragon, setting up Mountain Soul on the next spawn.
Honestly, I think that's absolutely fine for Nova. They take a solid fight with no real commitment and use that pressure to rotate for this, but PSG reacting accordingly, making the play.
They say, all right, if you weren't going to force the inhib, we're happy to do so. And again, another curtain call. There comes the Chain of Corruption, though, from Unified, going to get eaten up immediately by Kaiwing. And as Varus is, again, untouched. And Nova have to, again, wait it out for these cooldowns and also deal with the fact that now their mid lane has been scarred when it comes to their base with super minions for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and this is no 16-minute inhib that Nova took on the top side earlier. Instead, now a very relevant timer because it creates pressure on the map where you can, set up Baron Vision, you can actually set up for a convincing pick into an end, and this is at a point in the game where if Nova make one more mistake, PSG will just finish the game.
And we also take into the fact that we praised Ryan early game. It looked very well on this Lilia. Got a hold of those first 7 kills with his squad going 3-0-4. Unfortunately, I haven't seen him pick up an item in the last 10 minutes at any point because he hasn't been able to keep that ball rolling. He hasn't been really able to farm away. He's been giving that over toward his Jhin as well as your marksman. And this Lilia kind of feels like she's an engage bot that's very situational if you're not able to get a multi-man seed for the engage.
Definitely does kind of put a bit of a question mark around Ryan's, kind of potential with this champion. Yes, she does a lot of damage. Yes, there's a lot of utility packed in there. But unless you get that dream wombo combo team fight from here on out, Nova, a little bit of an uphill battle. You need to kill the Varus, you need to kill the Azir. Either of those will carry a fight.
Hanabi and Kaiwing just messed up their ultimate combo. So Hanabi doesn't have Dominus. Kaiwing wanted to go for the Voyage, and you see on the side of Nova, they know they can go, and this is their opportunity. We'll see whether or not it pays off, though. That's going to be Lilia going into the stopwatch immediately. G4 needs to find a good shockwave on this Orianna. Hanabi set up, and he's just going to get gunned down by Rocky once more, and Nova able to find their picks. River almost getting taken down by that fourth bullet of the curtain call, but it looks like Nova are able to find a fight in their favor.
And the threat of the shockwave still persists here. It means that PSG have to be super careful about their commitments, while Nova also have to be a little bit apprehensive. Super minions pushing in, regular minions pushing in top as well. Suddenly this is a little bit scary for Nova, even if they won that fight.
And you see pings coming out here from the side of PSG. They say, cool, you want to take that second tier tower in mid? We'll happily just rotate down to the bot lane and try and push in for another inhibitor ourselves. You do at least have G4 and Ryan nearby to clear that out, so they're able to salvage the situation. But now, another 2 minutes onto that next dragon spawn for Nova. It is Mountain Drake Soul, but they're able to find an opportunity off a misplay from Kaiwing and Hanabi.
Yeah, really, that wasn't Hanabi, by the way. That was all Kaiwing cancelling the Abyssal Voyage that misplayed that. Hanabi did fine. He just trusted too much in his support there. But hey, it happens. Let's be real. And then just really good eye and decision making from the side of Nova. The issue is they can't really chase heavily into that fight without the Pantheon ult to get instant backline access, because otherwise you just see the Azir, Varus, Nidalee kind of kiting back and poking out members like Rocky on this Lucian.
Do note, though, that Hanabi himself has been able to pick up a GA. So now he gets that free kind of jump in engage to try and get onto one of the squishy targets of Nova. And then pair that up with an Emperor's Divide from Tank, can set them up. And we mentioned how fast this team can rip apart objectives. And you see Baron down to 8,000 health. Pop is going to be the first one joining on in. Kern Call going to be popped. It's a 2-man shockwave onto Tank. Tank gets himself back away, though, with the Shurima shuffle. And now Hanabi wants to engage, but he's put to sleep immediately and getting ripped apart. In comes a re-engage, though, as G4 has to go in stasis. Almost gets completely taken down, and Hanabi will be turned into a purse at this point, as Nova are able to find the lone kill off the top lane.
Again, another pick onto the PSG top laner here, but what can Nova do with it? Last time they kind of ummed and ahed and only got that mid lane tier 2, and this time around, yes, they get another pick, but their Baron take is kind of meh, and their subsequent rotations are gonna be a little bit cautious, to say the very least.
Looks like the call, though, instead. G4 going to pop his teleport in that mid lane. They do spot this out, so they do know that Nova are looking to set up possibly for a Mountain Drake. And you see PSG immediately just turn tail. They say, all right, if you're going to try and go for this soul point, we will easily take the Baron and just try and shove you in with the siege.
And the thing is that I think this Mountain Dragon Soul, while nice, Nova were already winning the straight-up 5v5s. The issue is, if you trade Mountain Soul for the Baron, PSG will just end with the second Baron.
There you go. Dragon is secured. There you go. Let's see whether or not Nova can try and steal this one back. In comes Hanabi, and it's going to be a shockwave that misses every single person. G4, unfortunately, looking clean earlier in the game. He misses a crucial shockwave, and that's Baron in favor of PSG with no casualties.
Yeah, the classic Nova solo laner coin flip. It comes through, it lands face down, and while they do secure that Mountain Soul, yeah, I like they send Golden Feet to solo it. That's what you're supposed to do, or Rocky rather. You just send the AD carry to solo that so you can keep your jungler up top with Baron, but when your jungler isn't securing the Baron, it just looks kind of clumsy with a missed shockwave to boot.
And you're in a choke point. You're in a Baron pit. That is perfect for a shockwave. That is perfect for Ryan to get a seed onto the wall on the entrance and get the splash in to try and see what they can do. And now it feels like Nova are going to try and weather a storm, but there you go. GA now online for Unified. Even if he gets caught out, he'll come back on top of getting devoured. And there you go. Kaiwing says, let's pull the trigger, let's go for plays. And they just go and rotate toward the top side of the map.
Yeah, now looking for Nova to actually use this Mountain Soul to take convincing fight after clearing out these waves. Lucian, yeah, the culling's nice, but otherwise pretty underwhelming when it comes to actually clearing waves, because if he's ever in range to auto a Baron cannon minion, he's in range to just get killed by Varus or Azir. Same for Orianna to a degree, but less, obviously, commitment there. And Jhin as well, just really going to struggle to actually clear these out effectively. Nova, they're on the back foot, but it should only be for the next couple of minutes.
I guess for Nova, the play is, all right, Elder Drake, maybe go for that. Hope we can find a good fight, but unfortunately the teamfight execution has been degrading over the course of this game as the minutes roll by. And those key ultimates, like that Shockwave, like the Lilia ultimate to set up for the sleeps, all need to find their target. And you even see Nova can't even handle this siege from just the minions alone.
Right, and the thing about that Elder Dragon kind of win condition is that it's a band-aid solution for these teams that don't know how to close with a lead. It's teams that really need a neutral objective on the map to kind of give them the confidence to play around, kind of set up for a team fight, kind of actually finish the game off of something rather than closing when they had to. Nova, credit to them for actually holding on in a 40-minute game with a comp that shouldn't be able to, but it's a little bit scary.
Engage, Rocky gets taken down low, and that's going to be it. He gets shut on down. Ryan able to pop his ultimate onto 3 members. Shockwave comes out, needs to get the damage, but it's just not enough. Pop on that front line, able to take down Hanabi, and there is no tank. River gets tagged once. Final bullet in the Kern call, not enough. And once again, it is a 1-for-1 trade at the base of Nova.
Top lane for top lane there, and Nova are pretty happy with it. They weather the Baron Storm. Yes, they lose a bit for it in that top lane inhib, but they don't lose the game yet. Good re-engage from Ryan, good re-engage from G4, and Nova, they're winning the counter plays here. PSG need to be a little bit more careful as to how heavily they commit into this Nova lineup.
I just have to ask, how many times can Nova get away with it? You mentioned the team, the fact that they've been able to hold on for 40 minutes with this composition seems rather insane, considering we haven't seen any proactive play from them for the last 15, and it starts off with heavy aggression, but a nice sleep combo from Ryan is able to stall out the fight and allow for the re-engage from G4.
It's like, at the same time as praising them for holding on for 40 minutes, their comp with the lead they had should have closed at 25 to 30. This is testament to both teams kind of taking advantage of the fact that the enemy is hesitating to close, but at the same time, it's balancing on a knife's edge at this point. It's a coin flip team fight to seal the deal from either of these squads.
So, I hope you enjoy your coin flips, Briz. I know you liked putting your predictions, your faith into Alpha. It almost worked out this time. This time around, though.
Almost.
Almost. This time, though, Nova arguably needs some luck. They need a misplay from PSG, because like we mentioned, it feels like PSG are the ones that can slowly suffocate Nova's comp out of existence. You also got a fact now that it's going to be about less than 90 seconds until the Elder Drake spawns.
Yeah, you have Tom Kent moving with the Varus and Nidalee bot for a good siege. You have both solo laners playing the 1-and-1 respectively to try and just utilize their TP to the maximum. And I like that from PSG, but I need to see Pop pull the trigger on aggressive engage with the Pantheon to really punish the fact that right now PSG are split across the map, sieging on every front.
Yeah, because it kind of feels like the last 2 fights that Nova found in their favor, it was kind of off an actual engage from Pop. We've rarely seen the Pantheon ultimate otherwise, because it's been used so collectively from Pop, realizing that if he makes a misplay, if he goes too far in, that is done and dusted for the side of Nova.
Definitely could be the case, and looks to be that if you see these players just hesitate more here. Ryan just taunting there because, you know, he can. And again, we just mentioned the fact that it's very reactionary from both teams. You have Azir, Varus, Nidalee to a lesser extent, that like to fight front to back, that like to kite back, deal their DPS from a distance. But on the other hand, you have Nova waiting for a good chance to turn around and engage with the Lilia Sleep, with the big Shockwave, with these team fight winning power plays.
All right, here you go. Elder Drake now available on the map for both of these squads. Also take a look toward top lane. Inhibitor was taken and still down for the next 90 seconds. Hanabi at any point could look for a teleport play alongside Tank for a possible backdoor attempt. Pings are coming out. That might be the idea here from PSG. They also have Kaiwing. They could four-man force this if they wish to and leave Nova in the dust if that is going to be the option here. You got Rocky pushing what he can, but there you go. Double teleport.
TPs?
Nova realized. River's trying to stop the backs. It's 4 members. It's exactly that. Teleport coming out from the side of Nova, but it's a teleporting Lucian, and just like that, 3-man Shockwave. The Nexus needs to be the focus. PSG low health bars, but it doesn't matter as they find the back door and take down Nova Esports.
Coin flip, team fight, be damned. They go for the close. They say, look, you come to try and contest us at the Elder Dragon, and we'll use the Abyssal Voyage, we'll use the 2 teleports, and we will shove your stuff in.
A little bit aggressive there, to say the very least, but hey, at least someone made a damn proactive decision during the last 30 minutes of this litty game. And in PSG, I'll be frank, I feel like they stole a game away from Nova because Nova just did not do what they needed to do. They were in prime position. We have said this so many times about this squad when it comes to the PCS, and every single time they do not pull the trigger. And I know I know the team management was joking in the chat saying, hey, 60-minute game, that comp should have ended the game at 25 minutes. Simple as that.
They had a lead, to their credit. Their comp was online, and yet they just decided to kind of fumble around with item spikes, get some weird recall timings in, and then, again, as you said, just kind of hesitate to pull the trigger on some fights we maybe would have seen them like to commit to. Granted, they played it well in the other game, did a lot better than we were expecting from the Nova squad, considering this was supposed to be a clean 2-0 for PSG just out the gate, but that is a very, very difficult game 1 to come back from.
Yeah, considering the fact that we finally got to see them play via Ryan, play via Rocky. It's something that we have mentioned with this team, their identity they've wanted to do multiple times for their drafts, but have never been able to do it themselves, and they were doing it. It looked really good, but then they didn't do anything for bloody 20 minutes.
Solid Shockwave trying to, clean up that initial Baron power play that just got snuck out from under their noses. But at the end of the day, this was really the turning point here. Good decision making from PSG. Their shot calling here, while a little bit slow for the get-go, was very, very confident. Is this MVP because he shot called? If he called for the Baron play and if he called for the game-ending play, respect to Kaiwing. Otherwise, I don't know what this is.
You know what? Maybe. We have mentioned that Kaiwing sometimes acts as that late-game shot caller for PSG, so maybe having that, and maybe here in the comms, maybe Production said he was the MVP because he was the one that said, we can just end it if Nova is going to give us the opportunity to do so. So congratulations over to PSG. Talon, they take home the first victory of this game, and Kaiwing with the MVP on the couch.
Yeah, I was like, okay, are we throwing to interview now? And then I realized it's a series, Opal. We're in playoffs. Yeah.
We're in playoffs, so that means, of course, we still have another game at the very least, and possibly 2 more if Nova are able to tie up this series up against PSG Talon. Or is it just going to be a repeat of what we saw back in spring, where they were knocked down to the lower bracket and then had to face Hong Kong Attitude, which, again, could very much be the possibility that Nova have in the back of their minds. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, more action from PCS.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.